Welcome to the Fantasy NASCAR podcast, home of the Fantasy NASCAR Spreadsheet, which you can get your hands on at Race4thePrize.com. $20 for February, or save some money, go $250 for the year. Yeah, anyone can make a spreadsheet, anyone can scrape data, but do you want to spend 5 to 10 hours every single week doing that? Pay me to do it for you. Anybody can make a pizza, but you still order pizza. Let me make your pizza. You just enjoy it. Part 3, talking about the Xfinity series, doing our pre-season homework, getting back up to speed. Last guy we left off with was Austin Hill. Andy Street no longer going to be the crew chief. Moving on, Chad Haney stepping in, 30 years in the biz. This is his first time as a crew chief. That is interesting. Maybe he's ready for the opportunity. Maybe there's a reason why he never got the chance. Nonetheless, it's a good car. Let's look and see what the 21 has done. You probably know off the top of your head, he wins a lot of super speedway races, right? That is correct. We looked last year, and we'll sort by finishing position with Hill win at Daytona, 2 at his home track in Atlanta. Did get a Homestead win, so that is nice to see the RCR21 having some intermediate track speed, 82 laps led. But other than that, not really leading a lot of laps. Very competitive, top 5 car. You still give the edge to Junior Motorsports, JGR in a given week. But Hill's not too far behind. And maybe with Haas probably taking a slight step backwards, maybe it inches Hill a little closer. But, as I talked about in the previous videos, really like what Junior Motorsports is rolling out this season. A lot of questions with JGR, though. And we did see some dominant JGR All-Star rides last year. We'll see what happens. It's really too early to tell. We don't even know the crew chiefs for JGR this season. But there is the opportunity that Hill could be, the guy behind probably, your Justin Allgaier and one of the 2 Junior Motorsports guys that steps up. But definitely on the DFS radar. Who we get next? Dean Thompson. He'll be taking over that 26 for Sam Hunt Racing. This Toyota has shown speed. This Toyota often showed speed when it had a TRD developmental driver, a la John Hunter Nemechek. As a regular everyday week 26 Toyota, didn't really show us much. Jeff Earnhardt, not behind the wheel anymore. We got Dean Thompson, too. I guess you could argue, well, he's probably a TRD guy. Well, he is a Toyota driver. But I don't know if Toyota is really fully supporting and backing him. The story thus far on Dean, and it's hard to tell because we really just have his Truck Series career, is that, on a given week, he could be really good for Tricom, but he always just ran into mistakes, had issues. And then you also know my take on, I don't think the Truck Series developmentally prepares you all that well for the Xfinity Series. I just don't. I'm more of a late model guy. Go from late model to Xfinity. I'm not saying it's not as good. I'm just saying that if I had to choose among the next big superstar with a great record, I believe that the late model guys tend to make a better move right now in the current NASCAR format. All right, so we're looking at the 26 card last year, and we are sorted in best finish. Yeah, I think best finish is the best way to go. So when Corey Heim was behind that ride, a la John Hunter Nemechek, a TRD driver. Pretty solid finishes at Iowa, Richmond, Atlanta. You got top 10s, New Hampshire. But Corey Heim, just like John Hunter Nemechek at times, got a little bit better, got a little different treatment. Got a different Toyota than what Jeff had to race around with. And we see the drops fall off. And so as you look at the screen, we see a lot of Heim. We see a Earnhardt, but that's at a super speedway in Atlanta. See Reddick at Nashville. See some road courses. We're not seeing a lot of Jeff Earnhardts. And although Jeff Earnhardt didn't run a full season last year, he did get a good bit of rides. I don't think in this good bit of rides was he really getting the best car. I think probably the best thing would be to look at seasons where we had more of a full-time, just regular Sam Hunt racer rather than more of an all-star situation. That's what we're going to get. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe they have completely upgraded all of their equipment and it's all in on Sam Hunt Racing. I just don't believe that's the case, but we'll see. I think 15th to 20th is a good place to peg it. It's not top tier. It's not Lemon's class, Le Mans class, C class. The guys battling for the best among 20 through 40. It's right there in between Goldilocks land of 15 to 20. They should regularly get 20th place finishes. They're capable of sneaking up to the top 15, maybe some days getting into the top 10, but more often they live in that 15 to 20 range. A little bit better than Lemons, not by a lot, but also not in the orbit of the top tier teams. That's my take on Sam Hunt Racing. Not to say that they're not a bad team. They're making good strides, and they could be something. But I find it hard to believe that they will be with Dean Thompson driving. Again, Dean has shown at times flashes of brilliance, but his Tricon days were really just littered with mistakes. Jeb Burton back with Jordan Anderson, a good solid team. Probably in that same orbit as Sam Hunt, better than the Backpackers, better than the Lemons, but you can't quite count on them to be top 15 yet. The interesting thing, Jeb Burton, pretty solid year last year. Jordan Anderson overall, pretty solid year. Although Parker Retzlaff was really disappointing when you look at Retzlaff's numbers. We really expected a lot, and there were times where he looked really good in practice, really good in qualifying, just couldn't quite put races together. I believe off the top of my head, Retzlaff's average finish was 25th. You believe that? 25th. And Jordan Anderson car that was very capable. And he just did not produce results. Had good races, but did not get good finishes. And another thing, speaking of good, that the Jordan Anderson cars do well is qualify, which is great for them, but really terrible for DFS. And we'll pull that up over here and look at the finishing positions for Jeb Burton. And one of the things you'll notice is pretty decent finishes here. We run through about half of his year, and he is inside the top 20. Not really much of a top 10 guy. He did grab some top 10s at Talladega, and then Martinsville. But for the most part, running in the 20s. And then, half the season he's got handful, 20 to 25. And then, you've got your obligatory oil leaks, crashes, bad days. But for the most part, Anderson, again, like Sam Hunt, is in that middle pack. But the thing that kills you if you look closely is they're probably focusing on this finishing position. You glance over at starting position, and for the most part, Jeb Burton was very difficult to roster. Same thing with Parker Retzlaff. They were never really that cheap based on their finishing position, but also really hard to play because they just had limited access to that place differential bucket. They can score finishing position points. We're consistent in scoring finishing position points. Obviously, they're not going to get hog points or dominator points or fast lap plus laps led points. But that second bucket, that place differential opportunity, really never existed because this car would often start and finish in the same spot. Start close to the front, finish to the front. Good real life car, but a difficult call in fantasy NASCAR because despite being more likely to fill up their bucket in terms of finishing position points compared to the other Backpackers and Lemons, that's all they could do. And so we could see drivers that weren't as good, but were cheaper. They wouldn't score as many finishing position points. That bucket would be limited, but they would more than make up for it by stacking points in the place differential category and be better point per dollar plays and sometimes more or better raw point plays. Kyle Sieg, now you got to be careful looking at the different car numbers here with the 28 and the 39, because you got to remember Ryan Sieg is typically your 39, but there was points and money on the line at the end of the season for RSS, so they switched numbers around. The cars didn't really switch around, but for most of the season, Kyle Sieg was in the 28. And his crew chief in any given week, it would change around a little bit. It was more like a Joe Williams type. I wouldn't say specifically Joe Williams. And Ryan Sieg worked mainly with Matt Noyce last year. So let's look and see what the 28 car did last year. And I believe his numbers are very similar to the Retzlaff numbers off the top of my head. And we'll see. Now, again, we're pulling up the 28 car, but this was, for all intents and purposes, the 39. Ryan Sieg jumps in at the end of the year. I think the best way would be to sort this chronologically rather than sorting based on race number or based on best finish. So you can see what he did throughout the season. See Sieg. So here we go. 2025, 23, couple good ones at Texas. Talladega, obviously, it's a super speedway, so you don't lean much into that. But for the most part, we're seeing back into the teens occasionally, which is good and exciting for Kyle Sieg, but also a lot of 20 to 25. And that's what you'd expect out of a Ryan Sieg or Kyle Sieg car. Not bad, not terrible. On weeks where he was starting further from start, he was good. Weeks where he was starting, where he was finishing, then obviously not. Always coming in at a decent price. Quality Sieg equipment, not the best Sieg equipment, not the best Sieg driver, but he is who you thought he was. 20th, 25th place driver, can sometimes creep a little bit more forward. Really, when you're considering Kyle Sieg, the thing that you were always thinking about and will continue to think about is, what's his price, where is he starting? You don't really debate as much of the vehicle. You don't really think too hard about how high you can finish. We know about where we can expect this car to finish. The question always is all right, what's his price? What's his starting position? And then how does that compare to the rest of the field? And when he's affordable and starting towards the back, then obviously he becomes a value play on that given slate. And I think that's at any track. You look at his performances, he's done well at road courses and short tracks. We likely won't have a 29 car. Blaine Perkins has moved on. Speaking of Blaine Perkins, he is taking over for Parker Retzlaff at Jordan Anderson's team. We got Perkins. We got Chad Kendrick. We'll look real quickly at Chad Kendrick's stats. Give you a little rundown of who this guy is. Before jumping over to Jordan Anderson, we last saw him running with Young Motorsports. Not Young, with Rackley and Matt DiBenedetto. Decent little run there in the Truck Series. Before that, big, decent amount of races with Young Motorsports, Tate Fogelman, Tyler Dipple, and on and off with different other Truck Series drivers. You can go in the way back machine. You can see him working for Brad Keselowski's Truck Series team. Last year, he jumps over and is the crew chief for Parker Retzlaff. And as I mentioned, the average finish for Retzlaff, 23.5. Average start, 16.1. That's brutal for DFS. That's brutal for Retzlaff's career. Got to get better finishes than that, Retz band. We hyped him up a bit. A lot of expectations on that kid. You kind of earn it when he's a practice hero, right? We all know that guy. Superstar in practice. Here comes game time. Where you at, kid? Greg Van Alst, late model guy. If you want to click on the link, you can click on the link. Look at his third turn data and see what he did at Hickory or you name the North Carolina short track that he raced at. I don't think he's worth that much time here racing for Emmerling and Gase. Well, I don't even think it's Emmerling and Gase anymore. It's just Gase. But that hasn't been updated. So all is probably not worth much of a conversation. What is worth a conversation is going to Race4thePrize.com, getting access to the Fantasy NASCAR spreadsheet. Again, anyone can get this data. Anyone can scrape this data. But do you really want to spend all the time? Even the people that tell you that they don't want to spend the time and that you shouldn't and you can do it yourself, they don't even do it themselves. As far as I know, no one else pulls this much data, does this much work, is constantly working on sheets as much as me. It's a ton of time. You don't want to do it. You don't want to make pizzas all day, but you want to eat pizzas all day. So pay for those pizzas all day. You're donating to a good cause. You're supporting some good people. And you know who those people are. My FAMILY. They need you. We need you. Come on board. Race4thePrize.com. $20 for February. Or just throw in $250. All you got to do, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App. Send it over. And I'll send you access to the sheets. And you can jump into some of these private chats where we look at AI and how it's going to help us make picks. Let's jump into Ryan Sieg and Matt Noyce. Well, I think like my brain just dumped on Matt Noyce. What was he, a Haas guy for years in the background? Really didn't become a crew chief until joining up with Sieg. I believe so, yeah. But he's been pretty good. I had to Google it up. I really believe like engineer, behind the scenes Haas guy, and I could be completely wrong. But I know that he did have a pretty good resume, was very well liked for taking this opportunity. And I think they've really hit it. Sieg's changed crew chiefs a lot over the last couple of years. And he's had success with a lot of different ones, and he's had his falling outs with a lot of different ones. But I feel like this has been really the best that they've gotten. Let's look at his finishes. I wouldn't say it's necessarily simpatico, but they have done pretty well. When you look last year, got those near wins. Second at Texas, second at Talladega, second at Las Vegas. This is Ryan Sieg, folks. Come on now. Handful of top 10s, living in the top 15, not seeing a lot of mistakes. Running through all his races, and almost all of them are in the top 20. We only got, what, 3 DNFs? Love to see it. And only 2 of them were mechanical failures. Martinsville and Dover. Got an Atlanta Super Speedway as one of his poor races. That's okay. That's his home track. Another Atlanta Super Speedway poor finish, even if it's only 22nd. Yeah, incredible. Maybe this is a big year for Sieg and Noyce. Going to make some noise. Oh, that's noise. It could definitely happen. You look at the field with the JGR question marks, Haas Factory probably taking a step backwards. We don't really know what to make of RCR, new crew chief there. I believe Junior's team is on the top, is going to own this sport this year. But beyond Junior, there's a lot of questions. And we know Sieg is on the ascent. He could seize the day. Carpe diem. I wouldn't rule it out. Definitely keep your eyes on it. Now, that's kind of a bit of the kiss of death. Anytime we go into a season, and I've been doing this Fantasy NASCAR podcast for years, and I shouldn't say we, I should say I, identify a driver as this is going to be his breakout. Look at everything. Almost always guaranteed that driver has a horrific year. Without a doubt, without fail, anytime I dub someone as the next guy, especially when they've been around for a while, never happens. And Sieg has been around for a while. If the breakout was going to happen, it probably would have happened. Now, an argument can be made that maybe they've got more funding. Maybe Noyce was the thing that was missing all along. This will only be their second full season together. We shall see. And as we wrap up, we'll talk about one more driver, Anthony Alfredo, better known as Fast Pasta, which once again I say doesn't make any sense because Alfredo is the sauce, not the freaking pasta. And if you were really Italian, I would imagine that you would know that. I'm not Italian. Not in any sense at all. Don't like Italian. I don't even eat pizza, despite the fact that I talk about pizza. I talk about pizza because you eat pizza. Everybody eats pizza. I don't eat pizza. Pizza's not good for you. Very salty, calorically dense. It's not a good thing. Poor people food. It truly is. Ask Italians. It's poor people food. I am a poor person, so I should eat it, but I don't like being a poor person. And I don't want to identify with poor people food. I want to try not to be a poor person. And so I don't want to develop habits and characteristics of, oh no, they got fancy pizza. Yeah, I know, but its origins is a poor person food. Its origins are the GIs that brought it back from World War II. If you go over to Italy and you're freaking ordering pizza, what are you doing? You're probably going over there and eating pasta and all the fancy dishes because those are the fancy dishes. Pizza is the poor people food in Italy. You can Google it. You can see exactly what regions of Italy pizza originated and the story behind it. And have fun. Look, I used to love pizza. It's delicious. I could go on and on about the different styles and flavors and everything. And maybe I'm resentful of art because I know maybe I deep down still do love pizza. I just shouldn't eat it. And so I don't. And so now I fight back against and say mean things about the delicious dish that's been so good to me for years. Anyway, we're getting way off topic. Tony Alf, Fast Pasta. more like slow cheese. That's what I like to call him. But Slow Cheese has earned a little bit more of my respect over the last couple seasons. Slow Cheese was with Our Motorsports last year. Now he jumps over to Randy Young's new young Xfinity endeavor. We know Young has been in the truck series for quite some time and recently took the step forward to expand into the Xfinity series last year. Leland Honeyman, Sugar Daddy, ran the car last year. Andrew Abbott, your crew chief, he also runs double duty, which I don't know if I necessarily love. Longtime Truck Series crew chiefs had plenty of success for Young. Decent last year. Honeyman was decent last year. We'll look at the finishes here in a second for this car. Alfredo's got plenty of talent. He's good enough, but he doesn't have great equipment. And, one of the things that you possibly can count on, he's going to go out there and not do anything too stupid. He's going to be conservative. He's going to be safe. But he also is decent at qualifying as well, so he never really offers us that much in terms of DFS because he's going to start and finish in about the same spot. It's good for him. Hope he keeps his career going. Still think at some point he needs to look into his Italian and understand that Alfredo does not mean pasta. But I guess it makes sense. It's catchier. Maybe it's some name that someone gave him on the internet. That's probably what I would think. And so it stuck and it sticks with him. All right, let's look and see what this 42 car did last season as we wrap up. Man, I'm sure some people really are smashing that dislike button over the pizza. It was a tangent. It took up time. And people are like, I just need stats. You're talking about pizza. Dislike. Yep, gotcha. And then the other people are like, I love pizza. Can't believe you said that about my favorite dish. Dislike. And then there's other people that just hit it because they hit it. And then you got the other people that just hate me. Quite a few haters out there. Okay, let's look at the best finishes from this 42 Leland Honeyman ride. Talladega, big surprise, right? We look at some of these backpackers, and this guy's, oh boy. You would have to decide where the ride falls for Young. I would put it Lemon's class, backpack. I'm not quite ready to put this with Anderson and Hunt at all. At all. Talladega and Daytona, the best two finishes for this car. Although it did, at the beginning of the season, finish 11th at Phoenix. I would want to explore that a little bit further and see exactly how that worked out. Michigan, Iowa, then back to Talladega. But there we are with about 7 or 8 races inside the top 20. And then so for about 2/3 of the season, you're running 20th and further back. A couple of crashes. A lot of races not on the lead lap. Not very compelling. But what you would expect from a Lemon's car with a Lemon driver, the Sugar Daddy. I would imagine Alfredo will improve those results to closer to the median, closer to a 20th place finish. But I don't believe that Slow Cheese is going to really move this car too much further forward. Do not expect regular top 10s. Do not expect regular top 15s. But he could move it into the back end of the B class. He could, throughout the season, as they grow together, be competitive against the Anderson equipment, against the Sam Hunt equipment. That'll do it for today. Thanks for joining me for the third of our NASCAR Xfinity Series podcasts. Fantasy NASCAR spreadsheet available at Race4thePrize.com. $20 for the month of February, $250 for the season. You're helping out my family. You're donating to a good cause. You're saving yourself time. And I truly, truly appreciate all the support you've given me over the last decade. I don't know if anybody's been doing it longer. I don't think that I'm going to end up in a lawsuit for making up lies when I say that I've been doing this longer than anyone. And if they want to sue me, they could sue me over making that statement. Because I've been doing this thing since 2013. No one else has. And the reason I have been doing it since 2013 is because you've been supporting me since then. And as long as you're out there and you continue to support me, liking, subscribing videos, but more importantly, Venmo and PayPal and Cash App and that money over to you, then I'll continue to serve you and help you out. We make a good team, guys. Make a good team. Trip the Light's fantastic.